To buy or sell, and we are going to start with buy or sell the Pittsburgh Pirates starting rotation, Andrew.
Well, you know what? From what I've seen so far, I definitely have to buy it. Eric Bedard only allowing 1 run. Of course, the Pirates lost 1-0, but you can't blame the pitcher for the offense. Again, in the second game, out there, just another great pitching performance. Who pitched the second game, Zach?
Second game was pitched by, let me see,
it was,
why can't I not remember right now my own team? It was McDonald Sunday.
McDonald was Sunday.
And let me see, I should have it in my notes here. It is Jeff Carson.
Jeff Carson, there you go. There you go. Okay, so Carson's, again, continuing his season from a year ago. Just pitched really well. All 3 starting pitchers did a great job. And, you know, really, once they get A.J. Burnett back, that should add to the rotation. We'll have to see what the other guys do. But a great start, a great opening series for the Pirates starting rotation.
Coach?
I'm buying as well, and the reason I'm buying as well is basically you're not going to have their superstars up. They're young, the pitchers that they have drafted, and for the Pirates and the budget that they have, this is the best that they can do. And if you're holding teams, you know, to 1, 2, 3 runs a game and giving you a chance to win the ball game, which they've done so far. You got Correa going out on the mound against the Dodgers today. He was their best road pitcher last year. You can't ask for anything more, so I'm buying as well.
I'm going to buy the options, but I'm going to sell the rotation right now, because if you look at the history of these players, you have Eric Bedard, who is an injury-ticking time bomb waiting to happen. You have Jeff Carson, who was the most consistent Pirate last season, but you're looking at a guy that's a long reliever at best, and here stretching him out. And he could very well go that Steven Strasburg 180 innings, and that could be it. And we saw that they had to cut him short in September just because he was unable to go. You look at Kevin Correa, couldn't win at home to save his life. 2 wins, really terrible splits, was able to, that's why he's starting on the road today. You have James McDonald, who 7 innings at spring training, next start, 10 runs allowed. That's about as inconsistent as they come. Charlie Morton and A.J. Burnett coming back, that's going to be huge for this team. I like the prospect of this, but for right now, there's just too many injury and inconsistencies as a fan and a season ticket holder for me to be too confident yet. We're 3 games into the season. Let's see a couple months here against the Murderers Row opponents, and we'll just go from there. Buy or sell, John Tortorella's whining comments. We'll start with Coach this time.
You know what? I'm going to buy it, and the reason I'm going to buy it is the hockey has always been kind of like that 4th-tier sport behind football, baseball, and professional basketball. And, you know, anything that riles up fans and riles up the teams, and it's playoff fever time for hockey. And I think hockey's starting to surpass NBA basketball, I know, at least in this area. So, you know, with all the suspensions that are been given out by like Roger Goodell for different things, you know, this is kind of like old school, calling the other person out, and so I kind of like it because it's striking up some energy for the playoffs.
I'm going to buy and sell this, because it depends on the perspective that you look at this. If you look at it from the Penguins' perspective, I mean, you have to sell it because not Roger Goodell, it pretty much is Roger Goodell at this point, but John Tortorella is outing your team the second time you've been outed, and you have to make a stand somewhere. And the fact that the Flyers are doing it, the fact that the Rangers are doing it, I mean, but on their side, it's very smart, and I buy it from their side, because look at it. The Penguins are the hot team, and what have we seen in recent memory? The Cardinals were the MLB's hot team. You win the World Series. Boston Bruins, NHL's hottest team last season, Stanley Cup goes to them. Giants, the NFL's hottest team towards the end of that season, guess what? They won the Super Bowl. So, you know, you want to get inside that hot team's head, because every little distraction could go a long way, and you never know what the difference is going to be. And in a series that could be in the second round with Tortorella and the Rangers facing perhaps the Penguins, assuming they make it past the Flyers, every little thing counts, and this could be one of those little intangible things. So that's why I'm buying or selling, because it really depends on what perspective you're looking at.
You know, Zach, I have to agree with you there as well. If you're the Penguins, you don't like this at all. You're getting called out again by another coach, another figure in the league, someone else. After, you know, the Flyers did it last week, now the Rangers are doing it this week. Well, we'll see who does it next week. But you know, if you're not only if you're a Rangers fan, or just against the Penguins in general, if you're a fan of hockey, even a Penguins fan, this is getting you riled up, getting you excited for the playoffs, getting you a little perturbed. You know, you want to see what happens. You want to see us play the Rangers now, and you know, see what happens and see if we can get back at them. And obviously we're playing the Flyers, and there was a whole mess with that. But now you want to see us play the Rangers and see what we can do against Tortorella's team as well. So I'm going to buy and sell it. Great calls out.
Alright, I guess I'll start with this one because we're just going round robin. Crosby coined the verbal abuse garbage. Again, same thing, Penguins perspective, so I have to buy this. Crosby's upset, and last time I checked, he's got that C on his jersey, and he's the captain, which means he needs to stand up for his team and he needs to take action and show this team isn't going to be sound, it's not going to be stomped on for being for putting on quote-unquote skirts and for being, you know, quote-unquote whining stars. You know, the Penguins do have to take a stand somewhere, and that starts with their captain showing that he can stand up for their team, and that captain is Sidney Crosby, so I'll buy it.
Again, Crosby is one of those guys that if he gets angry, he's not one of those people that's going to lose control. He's going to put his focus 1,000% at beating the person that ticks him off. And I believe Ron Cook wrote a column about this either today or yesterday, about how Crosby takes these kind of things personally, and he's gonna make whoever makes comments about him pay. You don't think about it, but you see it happen in games sometimes when Crosby gets slashed or high-sticked, and maybe there's not even a call, and Crosby thinks something's wrong. He goes into a different gear. There's Crosby at one level, and then there's Crosby when he's ticked off, and that's scary to see.
And I'm buying as well, and the reason is basically the same thing that you guys said, is I want to see Sidney Crosby motivated. He's the best player in the game. He's one of the hardest, if not the hardest worker in the game, and he wears that captain's jersey, and he's going to stand up for his team. And you know, like I said, you know, Tortorella made, you know, possibly created a monster, hopefully, and I hope that Crosby comes out on fire and you know, backs it up with his play, and you know, he's not going to get too crazy with his comments because he's a very mature individual, especially for his age, and he's going to let his playing do the talking. So I think the Rangers coach sparked a fire that he may not have wanted sparked.
Alright, Andrew, buy or sell the New York Knicks?
You know what? After Jeremy Lin went out, we didn't know exactly how this team would respond, and then we see Carmelo Anthony go crazy against a contender in the East in the Chicago Bulls. 43 points, hits the game-winning shot at the end of the game. That was actually in overtime, I think. This team really runs through Carmelo Anthony, and if he's playing like he played in that game, I have to buy them. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to sell them because I don't think he's capable of doing that every game. They're a playoff team, but they're just not a team that I think has really any, unfortunately, they don't have any hope of winning the East, in my opinion.
Coach, I think you know where you're going to go with this.
Yeah, you know what, I'm going to buy them to play better than the way they started out the year, and the reason being, and I don't think he's getting enough credit right now, is Coach Mike Woodson. You know, it's a much different style than when Coach D'Antonio was there. It's not that running gun style. He actually has them playing defense. And, you know, they have a solid team. A guy that I love for the New York Knicks that doesn't get a lot of the spotlight at this time is Tyson Chandler. Anytime you watch the highlight films, you know, if Carmelo Anthony's hitting a big three, or when it was Jeremy Lin hitting these huge shots, he's the first one running up and chest bumping somebody, playing with a lot of fire and a lot of energy. And I'm selling. I don't think they have a shot at winning a championship either, but I think they're in a better position, and I hope they don't do anything crazy like get rid of Mike Woodson and put in Isaiah Thomas. So, but we'll see what happens. I'm
going to buy the Knicks. When I was little in basketball camp, the one thing that I was always told, and you'll appreciate this, coach, is what wins championships? Defense. And according to, I'm going to quote because, for God's sakes, I've been plagiarized before, so I'm going to not plagiarize someone else. According to Al Iazzoni from Newsday, quote, under head coach Mike Woodson, the Knicks have held 7 opponents to fewer than 90 points. They're allowing an average of 86 in those 9 games compared to 96.5 in the first 42. Also, the Knicks are plus 84 in rebounds after being minus 46 before Woodson took over. Defense wins championships, and The coach sitting to my right now is absolutely perfect proof of that. He took a Pioneers team that was very offensively sound before, and he proved that defense was what won championships, and in the case made the national tournament. And the Knicks are following the same recipe. Their defense has been much more tenacious instead of that careless kind of thing under Mike D'Antoni's system, and they're going a long way. They were a fringe team to maybe make an 8 seed, and they could make a 6, 7 upper echelon kind of seed if they keep playing this defense-first kind of style. All right, Coach, we're going to start with you here. Detroit Tigers, buy or sell?
I'm going to buy them for the regular season and to win their division. They got, number one, I think they got maybe the best manager in baseball. Number two, with the addition of Prince Fielder, they're a tremendous hitting team. They're coming out of a poor division. I think they were the only team in their division last year, even with a winning record. I expect them to win a division again. However, when you talked about the Cardinals earlier, when you were saying about getting hot at the right time, pitching's adequate in Detroit. Their defense is a little bit below adequate. Are they going to be hot? Are they going to be able to hit all year long? And but I do think they will win their division. But you never know what happens during that time. Usually, great pitching beats out great hitting when it comes to playoff baseball. But I'm buying them regular season, selling them come playoff time.
I mean, let's just look at the Detroit Tigers division right now. You have a Kansas City Royals team which is young, up and coming, sounds familiar for the city perhaps, but probably a little bit better advanced than the Pirates right now. But are they going to win the division? Most likely not. Cleveland Indians are a very solid team again, but they just have a lot of question marks. Ubaldo Jimenez, a wild card. Derek Lowe, old for baseball standards. I don't know, do they win the division? I don't think they have the firepower quite yet. Chicago White Sox, Robin Ventura, new manager. Do I like them? No. Minnesota Twins, okay, let's move on. All right, the Detroit Tigers, they have that ace. They have Justin Verlander, and the first had that distinction of winning the Cy Young and MVP, and rightfully so. Honestly, I just think the Tigers, I buy them. I think they could make a playoff run because they do have Verlander in front, and I do know they lost Doug Fister to the disabled list, but they still have a lot of options behind them in the rotation. Their 1 through 3 are solid. Valverde did blow a save this season already, but he was perfect last season. I'm going off of that. Cabrera playing third scares me, but having a lineup of Cabrera and Fielder should scare everybody. Alex Avila, the walk-off earlier, have to be impressed with that. Quickly, Andrew, before we go, we're gonna run over break. I really don't care. We're just gonna go until the segment's over. I really could care less. So keep going.
Okay. Well, no, Detroit Tigers again. Definitely buying them. When you have two guys in the middle like Fielder and Cabrera, that's going to put the fear in any team, any pitcher. I don't care even if Justin Verlander, Cy Young MVP, was pitching against them, they'd scare him too. Because as we saw, they hit 2 home runs each in the same game last weekend. They can go off at any time. You're going to have to be facing them throughout, a couple times throughout the game. And I just think they're the best 3-4 hitters right now in the game that any team has. It kind of reminds you of a couple of years ago when the Red Sox had Ramirez and Ortiz 3-4 in their lineup, and that was a 3-4 hole that no one wanted to face. Now the Tigers have that kind of thing, and you have Justin Verlander in there, and of course Valverde. He did blow that first save of the year, but he was perfect, and it was what, like 49 for 49,
50 for 50,
50 for 50 last year. So no one's perfect, but he's going to come back and be all right, I imagine. So I mean, they're not a perfect team, but no team is, and they're solid. They certainly are.